Sometimes you just have to look at things from a completely different perspective for them to make sense. Maybe they still won't make any sense, but it won't hurt to try. But yeah, I know how it can sometimes feel like absolutely nothing is working out. Dreams, hopes, plans, goals. And in those moments, feeling discouraged and frustrated and wanting to give up are the closest and sometimes look like the best options. And guys, I know it might not feel like it sometimes, especially when you're in a tough space and you're just going through it, but it really isn't a bad life. It's just the challenge that's happening. Don't let that take away from all of the good things that you have. Gratitude is very important. It's so important. I'm never going to get tired of talking about how important being grateful for the big and small things is in our lives. Hi community, welcome back to Acupfulll. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. So in this week's episode, I really wanted us to get into looking at things differently. Pretty much a change in perspective. As per the title of this episode, I speak about looking at things from a different perspective quite often on the podcast. I've spoken about perspective a little bit enough, and sometimes you just have to look at things from a completely different perspective for them to make sense. Maybe they still won't make any sense, but it won't hurt to try. So yeah, I've realized that from my own experiences anyways, that life doesn't work out as we had planned or hoped for. Sometimes that really does happen. I think it has happened to everyone that is listening. It has happened to you at least once, a few times. Maybe it's something you're experiencing right now. But yeah, life doesn't work out as we had planned or as we had hoped for. And when that happens, it can feel like God has something against us. Like God has something against you, which I can assure you he doesn't. He is a loving, very much, very, very loving God. And the other thing is that he doesn't work on anyone else's time other than his. So sometimes it will seem like he just doesn't care or he's forsaken you and life is just very, very hard. But what is really important to understand is that God doesn't work according to our timelines. He works according to his. And understanding that has helped me navigate the really difficult moments a lot better, because I don't feel like I need to make a plan or figure it out on my own. I'm just like, it will happen when God wants it to happen. And in the meantime, I'm just going to make do with what I have, because what else can I do? But yeah, I know how it can sometimes feel like absolutely nothing is working out. Dreams, hopes, plans, goals. And in those moments, feeling discouraged and frustrated and wanting to give up are the closest and sometimes look like the best options. Sometimes the better looking options for me have been wanting to throw in the towel. Yeah. But growing up, growing into myself and seeing life as a journey and not a race has given me an opportunity to see things from a completely different perspective in the moment itself and after the moment or the season has passed. So a while ago, I recorded an episode about it being a bad day or a bad or challenging season and not a bad life. And I still really believe in that. I stand by that. Like I said, when things are tough and life is just overwhelming and it feels like it's one battle after the other, it can feel like it will never get better. And it can be very, very difficult as well for it to feel like your life is not a bad life. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. I really do understand it. But that's where perspective comes in. And that's where looking at things from a different perspective comes in. I say it all the time, especially lately. I'm going to say it again, especially if you're new around these parts. I always speak from a very faith-based perspective. So when I speak, I will often say, you are going to hear me say, I am aware that it might seem this way, but God is not that way. And that comes from me having a relationship with the Lord. But another thing that has helped me with changing my perspective and seeing things differently is understanding. And obviously the understanding comes from being in a relationship with God, reading my Bible, praying, praising and worshiping, having people that are wiser than me offering me counsel and leading me and guiding me. But being in a place with God where I am seeing him as a loving parent, a loving father, a provider, a caregiver, and a support system has given me an opportunity to not necessarily overlook the difficult moments, because in the midst of challenges, there is no overlooking, my sister. You can't. You have to just face it and deal with the bad and the ugly that comes with it. But there are also some good moments and there are good things. And that's something else that I've come to realize in having this different kind of perspective, is that even though there is bad happening, or there are difficulties, there are challenges, there are character building moments, and the character building moments are sore. But even though those things are happening, it doesn't mean that the goodness in my life, in your life, is now wiped away. It doesn't mean it stops happening. And it's really important to see it that way. It's really important to be able to say, okay, yeah, this really tough thing is happening, but I still have this good thing, that good thing in my life. I still have breath in my lungs, even though things are very, very challenging. I still have a job. I still have an opportunity to get an education. I still have money coming in one way or another. And this is not to say, or this is not to take away from difficult moments. This is not toxic positivity. I am absolutely against that. And I'm not saying that you have got to spend your every waking moment when you're in a very, very difficult season smiling, hopping and jumping, and it seeming like everything is all good in your life. Absolutely not. I'm a big advocate for feeling what you need to feel, for going through the motions, going through the difficulties, and experiencing them in as many raw ways as possible, because we don't run away when we are going through something tough. That's not what I encourage anyways. We aren't going to pretend like it's not happening. We aren't going to numb the pain. We're going to face things and deal with them head on. However, I am saying that it doesn't mean that because you're going through a tough time, you should be neglecting the good things in your life. You should be overlooking them. Gratitude is a very, very important thing. It's important when you are going through a tough time. It's important when you are in the best time of your life. And we have those seasons where things are going to be challenging and they're going to drag on. And then we're going to be in the seasons where we are reaping what we have sown, and it's going to be really nice and enjoyable. So being grateful and acknowledging the good things you have is very important to do either way. And for me, in the bad times, whenever I'm grateful, or whenever I can just step back and look around and see and identify all of the beautiful things, it makes the pain bearable. It makes going through the challenges a lot more bearable, because I know that even though this is happening, I still have this really incredible thing to lean on. And something else that happens when you're going through a bit of a tough time, again, personal thing, but maybe you can relate, is that you are looking to experience those pockets of joy fully, because you know that you are going through some really tough bumps in the road. But I've always found that when I'm going through a really, really rough patch, or I'm going through a season where I am hard at work in the fields in my life, and I'm planting the seeds and I'm needing to wait for them to grow, I always feel so much better when I can look around and see all of the good things. They make me happy. It makes me a lot more grateful. I find myself being like, whoa, this is actually such a beautiful thing that the Lord has blessed me with. I'm actually very, very fortunate to have this. And I'm very, very, very grateful. So sometimes you just have to look at it from a completely different perspective and see that even though this is happening, I'm very fortunate, very grateful that I still have these good things in my life. And guys, I know it might not feel like it sometimes, especially when you're in a tough space and you're just going through it, but it really isn't a bad life. It's just the challenge that's happening. Don't let that take away from all of the good things that you have, all of your blessings. Don't let that cloud or overcloud or dominate over the really good things that you have. Different seasons also are important for our growth. We need to go through them. You can't avoid the difficulties. It's good. It's part of character development. It's part of shaping you up and making sure that you are actually prepared and you have the tools and you have the capabilities to handle all of the other things that you're asking for, all of the other things that you are looking to have in your life. And we need that training, because one thing about us, we are human beings. And when we don't have that stretching, that firming up process, that teaching period in our lives, the multiple teaching periods in our lives to prepare us, we are bound to mess up. So be open to it. Be open to the character development. Be open to being taught and to being changed mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Just be open to it. You know, when you exercise, especially at the beginning, it feels like the pain is never ever going to end. But when your muscles get used to it, because muscle memory is a real thing, and when you are used to the habit now that you've created of exercising, the pain is a lot more bearable. You'll still feel it, but it is a lot more bearable. And I want to say it's bigger than you. It is bigger than you. And that's something else that I've come to appreciate and understand, that I need to go through the things that I need to go through. The things need to happen because, especially for me, someone like me that believes in God, I understand that a lot is a lot bigger than me. I'm serving God here. It's a lot bigger than the pain that I'm feeling, not to take away from the pain that I'm feeling, but it is a lot bigger than me. And it's just the sacrifice that I'm going to have to make, as someone who is serving God and wanting to be obedient and diligent. I'm just going to have to go through it, even when it's really, really challenging to go through. So also remember that you have to go through it. There is no avoiding it. And I've also got this theory that the more you ask for, or the bigger the request that you make to God, the more challenging the moments are going to be for you in the teaching, in the learning, in the renewing of your mind, of your spirit, of your heart. So, yeah, I have a theory that the bigger the request, the more you say to the Lord, listen, I can do this, God. I can show up. I can handle this. You can bless me with this. I think the more heavier. Gotta be careful here. I want to pick my words carefully, but the bigger the assignment or the bigger the request, the more challenging the teaching is going to be, the more challenging the learning is going to be. And I also think that even though God is just this incredible greatness, I feel like he also experiences moments where he's like, this is really challenging. This time where I'm having to teach this child or these children, this is challenging. But the best thing is that he might be challenged and it might be difficult and it might be frustrating or whatever it might be, but he's not going to give up on you. He's not going to give up on me. It won't take away from the fact that he understands that the teaching needs to happen. And as long as you understand that the learning needs to also take place, you are going to be good eventually. Might not feel like it's going to be an immediate thing. Probably won't. But eventually you're going to be fine. Also talking to myself here. Because, yeah. I said it in the episode that I recorded about the trials and tribulations of the late 20s. That there is a lot of learning that is happening for me. I am also on the receiving end of the fruits of my labor, but I'm also now still in a learning phase of some sort. And so, yeah, I also feel like the kind of thing that's happening right now is the thing I just spoke about. The bigger the request, the bigger the ask, the more shaping and the more painful it's going to be. I don't know, also this is just a theory, but yeah, I just kind of was sitting with myself and thinking about it, and I'm like, what if that's what it actually is? The bigger the requests, or the more the requests, or the deeper the requests I'm making, the more challenging the learning is, and the more stretching I experience. So yeah, that's what it kind of feels like. I'm not mad at it. I have moments of frustration and of wondering and of feeling overwhelmed, but I want God to do his will in my life. I want his will to be done. And so that's exactly what's happening right now, and it's just gotta happen. There's no other way. So yeah, what you need to be doing in the unfavorable moments, as I've been saying, is to look at the good things that are happening around you and be grateful for the things you do have. Your immediate needs being met, that is a win. That is something to be very grateful for. The fact that you have food to eat and clothes to wear, that you have a warm and love-filled roof over your head, that's something that you need to be grateful for. And I know for some people it might not be the case that you have a loving roof over your head and you have a warm home where love and support goes around and around and around. It might not be the case for you, but just look at the fact that you do have a roof over your head, that it's not something that you have to be worried about, even if it's you living on your own and you are solely responsible for taking care of yourself, of your rent, of your food. Be grateful that God has blessed you with the job that he has blessed you with, that is allowing you to meet your needs, and hopefully and just be grateful that you have that. And obviously if you are feeling like, obviously if you're struggling and you're just really financially overstretched, but the only option is for you to continue to live on your own and take care of yourself, I'm going to say take it to God. Ask him for the strength, because on your own, it will probably be very, very challenging to carry it. But with God, talk to God. God's got you. He's always willing to listen. So just acknowledge, look at the things in your life, and don't allow the challenging moments to cloud or to overtake the good things that you have. It's really, really cold in South Africa at the moment, and every time I'm in my bed, or I'm taking a hot bath, or I'm having a hot meal, or I'm in warm clothes, I just cannot help but be grateful and be joyous for that I don't not have things to wear, that I don't not have warmth, because there are people that don't have that need met right now. There are people that are going to struggle through this winter, and I just feel very blessed. I feel absolutely blessed. And I don't have any of this because I deserve it. It's all because of God's grace and his mercy. And that's something that I also always just have to remind myself of, that I'm very fortunate, that I'm incredibly blessed. So in this cold, if you have warm blankets, you have a warm bed to sleep in, warm food to eat and it's not an every other day thing, it's an everyday thing, be grateful. Be so grateful. I know that sometimes we can overlook the fact that we are fortunate or that we are blessed, because these are things we have. We don't have to fight for them. We don't have to struggle for them. It's just something you can get from your cupboard. It's something that you can switch on a microwave and warm up. You don't have to struggle. But if you just look at things from a different perspective, you will realize that it's a big blessing and that it's something that you need to be grateful for and be joyous about. The job that you have, if you're working right now, again in South Africa at the moment, unemployment rates are high, especially amongst the youth. They have skyrocketed. And if you have a job that you love and that you're getting paid well for, be grateful for that. If you have a job and maybe you are underpaid and it's frustrating you, I know that it's going to be very challenging to be grateful for it. And I'm really hoping and praying that you can get something that isn't stressful and then also underpaying you. I really hope that that's something that can happen for you. But right now, the best you can do is just be in a position where you keep looking and keep praying and just keep telling yourself that even though this is not an ideal situation, you're going to try and make it work. The home that you have, be grateful for that. Again, not everybody has access to a safe, warm home. That one friend or those few friends who are really carrying you through life, through the challenges, who are there with you during the good times, be grateful for that. Be grateful for that and show your gratitude by letting your friend or friends know that you see them and that you are grateful for them. If you are someone that likes to gift the people that you love, or they like gifts, gift them. If that's something that you can do, just express your gratitude. Be grateful for that, because not everyone has that. Some people want that kind of friendship or those kinds of friendships, but they don't have that. And for various reasons, they don't have that. And that you do, don't take it for granted. The money in your savings or the money that you're getting at the end of each and every month, it might not be ideal to live from hand to mouth, but be appreciative that you have that money, that you are getting an income. And if you are someone that is so fortunate that you are able to save a lot of money, not just like 100 Rand, even if you're able to save 100 Rand, that's great. Good for you, good on the discipline. And I'm really happy that even in this economic climate, you're able to put aside some money, because even a little bit of money, even putting aside a little bit of money, that does a lot. That's amazing. Be grateful that that's something that you can do. If you have savings, if you have a lot of savings, be grateful that you can put aside a lot of money and that you are able to take money from your salary or from one of your side hustles or from one of your multiple side hustles, and that you are able to put money aside. You know what I'm saying? Your loving boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, for those who are married, be grateful. Be very, very grateful that you are with someone. And I'm talking about being grateful if you're with someone who is a good, kind, loving, patient, committed person who shows you every single day without fail that they want to be with you and that they're in it with you for the long run. Things are happening in all of our lives. And again, it's very easy for the difficult things that are happening to overshadow the good things. But change your perspective, look at things from a different place, and realize that there are blessings even in the midst of the challenges. There are absolutely blessings in the midst of the challenges. Gratitude is very important. it's so important. I'm never going to get tired of talking about how important being grateful for the big and small things is in our lives. It's so, so important. And having a grateful heart, it just also changes how you see things, how you see the world, how you experience this life. It changes so much. So find ways to be grateful. Look at your life and see the things that you are really blessed to have, and see them as exactly that, blessings, not things you're entitled to, not things that you deserve, but blessings. Yeah, this is where we are ending this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this was valuable. I hope that you had a good time. I hope that you are going to be back next week to listen to next week's episode. I am really, really grateful for every single listen, for every rating, for every time you share the podcast, whether it's through word of mouth or whether you are sharing a link. Thank you so, so much. Thank you for the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really, really, really do appreciate it. This really is a community. I feel like I'm part of a solid community through this podcast. And it's just an extension of the community I already have, the people that I see all the time, my family, friends, acquaintances. It's really, really incredible to experience, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm grateful to each and every one of you. If you are wanting to put anyone on, please don't forget to let them know that they can listen to A Cup Full on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else they get their podcasts. A Cup Full also has a TikTok page. The handle is at A Cup Full Pod. So please head on over on that side. And if that's the kind of content you enjoy, please hit the follow button. Also, if this is the kind of content that you enjoy, if you are having a good time here, please rate the podcast. It helps reach other people when you rate it. More people get to hear it. More people get to join the community and be a part of the learning and the growing and the hearing different perspectives, new perspectives. So please, 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 please do rate the podcast. Also comment, let me know what you think. Let me know if you would like to hear me talk about something specific, or otherwise, just let me know what you think. I'd really love to hear what your thoughts are on this episode or on any other episode. Have a lovely remainder of this week. Rest when you need to, work when you need to. Be kind to yourself and be kind to other people. Explore new perspectives, looking at things from a different eye. And most importantly, don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup.